If you want to make 100K this year for the very first time in real estate, you've come to the right place. No, you don't need rich parents. You don't need to win the jackpot, and you don't need to invest in crypto. What you really need to is to learn and master a skill, and that's going to be probably one of three main stages that I've learned in the past 7 years building over 250 houses. So very first stage is you're going to need to know how to find a deal and identify like what is even a deal. So many people comment on my videos and Instagram, and I have an online community channel and they talk about it, and they're negative equity or negative profit on their very first deal. And so what I've realized is you have to understand what is a good deal before you can even get into this game, and you have to learn numbers and understand the process. I'll give you a really simple rule of thumb on how you can understand that later on in the video. But today, what I want to teach you is how to get into the real estate game through new construction. And so ultimately what that looks like from a high level is the new construction game allows you to force equity into a real estate project, and therefore you can sell and take that profit for yourself at the end of the deal. So when you buy a home on the market, everybody understands that real estate appreciates slowly over a few years. Well, statistically speaking, new construction properties, they grow in value 2 or 3 times faster than just a traditional home that you buy on the market. If you are in a neighborhood and there's an empty lot and you build a house, well, guess what? Let's just say somebody else buys the house next door to you. They're negative equity day one, they move in. But most likely, if you did the project right, you ran the numbers, got the right bids, and built out the project cost effectively, then you should have anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 of equity day one. They paid a realtor to buy the house, sometimes 20, 30 grand in realtor commissions. You don't have to do that. And so it's really incredible. This strategy has absolutely changed my life. I was in $250,000 in debt, depressed out of my mind, and I was able to find financial freedom through the real estate new construction game. Let's get into it. All right, so the very first thing that you're gonna wanna do is understand numbers. And when you understand numbers and you fall in love with the numbers, not the deal, then that's what will set you up for true success in real estate investing, real estate new construction, real estate development, you name it. That's the very first place you have to start. Never fall in love with the deal. So there are 3 key components to underwriting a deal and making sure that it pencils. You got to start from the end in mind and work backwards. So the very first thing you have to pick out is how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what size square footage is the home that I'm going to build, and what is the value of that home. So let's just say in my area, a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,500 square foot house is $750,000. That's what they sell for on the open market. And now I can say, all right, I want to build that house. Let's factor in on how much profit I can make. So let's go $750,000, right? We're going to multiply that by roughly 20%. In order for this deal to pencil, plus or minus 15 to 25%, this works nationwide, it's a rule of thumb, the land price has to be around $150,000 for this build in order for it to make sense. Land price can be a little bit higher if it's a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex. You can get a 5% down for both land and construction for up to 4 units using a conventional owner-builder loan, and only put 5% down. The type of loan product varies from lender to lender, but that's usually called a construction to permanent loan. So now that we've identified the final build value, $750,000, we've identified what we can pay for the land, around $150,000, let's figure out the construction cost. So the type of builder that you're looking for is called a spec builder, or a builder that builds investment properties for sale. So he does not have a customer during the construction process. He finds the land, builds the house, and then posts it on the open market to lock in his profits and sell the home. Oftentimes these builders will do a cost plus contract. What does cost plus contract mean? Well, cost plus is really simple. The cost of construction plus whatever fee he's charging in order to build that house for you. Oftentimes what we're seeing for the fee for the builder, for this type of builder, is anywhere from 10 to 15% on cost. And so In this situation, we said 2,500 square feet. We're gonna multiply that by roughly $150 per square foot. So if you can see 2,500 by 150, our construction budget is $375,000. Depending on where you are in the United States, if you're in Springfield, Missouri, you can be low hundreds. If you're in San Diego, California, or Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington, you can be 200 to 250. So that's the range. You're gonna have to get that quote from the builder, but you have to make sure that he's not marking it up, that you're paying true cost, and then you pay his fee on top. So how do we calculate that builder fee? 375 times by, let's just say 110%. Our total construction budget for both the builder's fee and the construction cost is $412,500. We saw that we could pay $150,000 for the actual land. We're at $562. So we're doing some just quick, napkin underwriting, napkin math. And what we can do is we can multiply this number by roughly 107% for any kind of extra fees, realtor, agents, commissions. So our total cost all in on this project is $601,000 minus $750,000, and then I'll just change it to a positive number. We're looking at roughly a gross profit of $148,000. Depending on your cost of financing, your cost of financing can be anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 for your loan points, interest, and fees. So you're looking at a handsome profit of $100K on this deal. And I honestly just made all of those numbers up and they penciled. So using the formula, the rule of thumb of 20%, I understood the land price. I told you guys the construction cost, depending on your area, is anywhere from $100 to $200 per square foot. Now, that directly relates usually to the final build value or the ARV of the home. Where homes are cheaper to build, they're usually selling for cheaper as well. Where homes are more expensive to build, the cost of construction is usually more expensive as well. The way that the general economy works is supply and demand. If the cost of materials and labor is more expensive, then the builder has to mark up the price higher in order for him to make a net profit. And so the numbers are relative, and that's kind of how it works. But ultimately, if you understand numbers, then you don't need a college degree. You don't need a ton of money to get started, and you're able to build and sell and create wealth through the real estate new construction game. Now, one thing that I'd like to clarify, and that's really important for you guys to understand, is one, this really shouldn't be an active income unless you're the actual builder doing builds for clients as a GC, you getting that active income and getting paid on a weekly, sometimes monthly basis. If you're building a primary residence to 5% down just to build wealth and get that 6 figures of equity, there's gonna be a long gap in between to when you get your paycheck. Could be a minimum of 12 months by the time you find the land, build it, and then sell it or move into it. Or if you wanna take all your profits tax-free and you wait the 2 years because it's your primary residence, then you have sometimes a 2 to 3 year period until you get that actual paycheck. So this strategy really is a bolt-on strategy to your current active income. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a W-2 employee, you have to have that income to get pre-approved to essentially buy a house. Just like you're pre-approved to buy a house on the market, it's the same exact process to get pre-approved to do a personal primary residence construction build, owner to builder loan, construction to perm loan, so many different names for it. But ultimately what it looks like is a 31-year mortgage, 1 year to build, 30 years. After that, it transitions into a regular 30-year mortgage. The only real difference with a construction to perm loan is you need to have building permits approved in hand. And so when you're finding a piece of land on the market, you're gonna need sometimes 60 to 90 days to close, and you just have to negotiate with the seller and agree to those types of terms and just say, hey, I'm willing to buy this piece of land for $150,000. I just need 90 days to close because I'm gonna be investing $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 into the building permits and building plans and structural engineering and get it approved so that when we close, I can get my construction loan and land loan all funded all at once for 5% down. And so that's kind of how we do it. Super excited. Ruben the Builder. Join my community channel of over 7,000 people, like-minded builders, investors, developers, wholesalers, lenders, you name it, everybody is there. Join that community channel. learn more about how to build wealth through real estate, and super excited to see you in there.